Hey everybody, it's Charlie and I'm back. So a few weeks ago I did a video where I talked about how I was processing my new schizoaffective diagnosis and what that meant for me. In this video I want to dig a little bit more into that and do an overview of what schizoaffective disorder is as a whole and what the symptoms look like for me in my personal life. So let's get started. Schizoaffective disorder is a mental health condition that is characterized by a combination of schizophrenic symptoms and a mood disorder. There are two main types of schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type and depressive type. People who have bipolar type schizoaffective disorder experience both the highs and the lows of their mood disorder, and people with depressive type experience only the lows. Personally, I experience both. So I am considered schizoaffective bipolar type. Schizoaffective disorder affects 0.3% of the population, so it's not really well studied. The details of schizoaffective disorder can look different in every person who's affected, but in general, there are 8 main symptoms that most people will experience. I'm going to talk about those 8 symptoms and what they look like in my life. So the first one is having delusions, or false fixed beliefs, even despite having evidence of the contrary. I'd say my longest held delusion is that people with blue eyes are essentially blind or have cataracts. This is something that, despite evidence of the contrary and much help from my friends, I still have a hard time remembering, and I always have to remind myself that people who have blue eyes can still see. There's no reason for them not to. I don't know why I have this delusion. Another one of my delusions served as the inspiration for the name of my channel, actually. There was a time where I believed that I was a prophet, an actual prophet sent from God, and that I had this amazing mission to change the world that I had to complete. And it was both exciting and somewhat anxiety producing to have to live this really intense prophet life. It's actually one of the delusions that's been helpful for me to sort of chill out on. I know that God is with me and here for me, but also I'm not like the second or third coming of Elijah, which is okay. The second symptom of schizoaffective disorder is hallucinations, such as seeing things that aren't there or hearing voices. For me personally, this was the thing that helped me to get treatment the fastest. When I first got diagnosed, I was hearing a lot of machine noises and crowds talking all the time behind me. And it was something that was really annoying and irritating. I used to wear headphones all the time to try to drown out the noise, but it was just constant, especially when I was out in public, but for the most part, a constant barrage of noise, to the point where I thought that I was autistic for a long time because the noise was just so constant and so aggravating and irritating to me. Another type of hallucination that I experience are what's called command hallucinations, where I hear voices that tell me to do things like jump off of buildings or jump into traffic or different things like that to hurt myself. These voices come from outside of me, but they're in my head, which is a really disturbing thing to experience. The other type of hallucinations that I experience are tactile. So I'll sometimes feel bugs like walking on my skin, and that freaks me out. It is terrible, and I hate that feeling, but I sometimes do experience tactile hallucinations. I lately have realized that I've experienced also olfactory hallucinations, so I'll smell things that other people don't smell. I'll also hear random chirping sounds that other people don't hear. And those are things that I now have realized are hallucinations. So that's been fun and interesting. To sort of always be fact-checking myself to make sure the things that I see and experience and feel are real has been an interesting process. The third symptom of schizoaffective disorder is impaired communication or speech. This is something that I've made a video about a little while ago. Having disorganized thinking, it makes it hard for me to put words together sometimes or to process information. I also experience what's called word salad, where a lot of times I will point at something and say a word that doesn't make sense, but I mean something else. Like, I'll point at a chair and say, do you want to sit on the squash? Or do you want to scoodle with me? And I mean cuddling. And Beth just has to get it because I don't know what I'm saying. Also, along the lines of disorganized thinking, I will drop sentences or not answer people or respond inappropriately. I just, as a whole, sometimes have a really hard time collecting my thoughts and keeping them together. It feels like they're really floaty and disjointed and not connected to me. Other times I'll have thought blocking where I just feel like I can't think at all, and that's also hard. So the fourth symptom of schizoaffective disorder is bizarre or unusual behavior. This one for me is in like the way I move. A lot of times I feel like I can't stop moving or I can't sit still, so I pace a lot. It's another reason that I thought that I might be autistic for a time, because I used to just always need to be moving or fidgeting or pacing or stretching or exercising or doing something. I used to rock a lot. There's a lot of sort of things that I do that I feel like I have to do with my body, or I have to move around, or I have to be moving a lot of the times. It's something that actually makes me somewhat anxious when I go out, because I can't, or I feel like I can't move like I would naturally like to, because propriety or whatever, something like that. So the fifth symptom of schizoaffective disorder is feelings of depression, such as feeling sad or worthless, or just really, really low. Not having energy. These are things that I used to experience a lot more frequently. I used to have about 3 or 4 bouts of major depression each year. And now that I'm taking medication, that happens significantly less, but I do still experience major depressive episodes. Similarly, the sixth symptom is having manic episodes. So in addition to having depressive episodes, I also have times where I feel really, really like high all the time. I feel like jazzed, and like I can't sit still, I can't be still, I can't sleep often. A lot of times when I'm in a manic episode, I can't sleep for more than 4 hours at a time. So I end up building up a backlog of just being sleep deprived. I also tend to buy a lot of things during that time and want to just spend money and do things that are somewhat out of my character. I get hypersexual, which is, I guess, fun for my partner, but outside of my normal range of sexuality. During a manic episode, it is even higher, which is, like I said, a lot of fun. The seventh symptom is not as fun, and it is impaired social, occupational, or school functioning. And this is something that has been consistent for me since I got into my 20s. I do have a hard time in social situations. I have cycled through multiple jobs in the last couple years and sometimes just really struggle to keep up because I'm dealing with the other symptoms of schizoaffective disorder. It makes sense that you would have impaired social, school, and work functioning when you're hallucinating and delusional and suffering from all of these other symptoms. So as I've moved forward with treatment and getting on medication, I've had a lot more success in these areas than I did in the past. This is also the area that counseling is the most helpful for, because it can help you, give you the skills and tools that you need to adapt in those situations, which was very, very important for me. The final symptom of schizoaffective disorder is problems with personal hygiene or personal care. For me, this means that I don't often remember to take showers or think about it or think to wash myself. It's something that I have to actually set reminders on my phone to do, or I just legitimately will forget to do. I also thankfully have Beth to help me eat, but when I used to live by myself, I struggled to prepare and make meals for myself because I just didn't think about it. So yeah, those are the symptoms of schizoaffective disorder. The main way that I describe this disorder as a whole to people is as a mashup between schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Because of that, the treatment options end up being somewhat of a collaboration between what they use to treat bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. The good news is that even though schizoaffective disorder is a combination of those two conditions, it is more treatable than either one of them alone. So if you do move forward to getting treatment, you're more likely to see results from those medications than someone who has bipolar disorder or schizophrenia alone. I hope this video helped you learn a little bit more about schizoaffective disorder, the symptoms, and what it looks like in a person who is affected. If you or a loved one suffers from this condition, I hope that you are able to get the treatment and help that you need, and that you always remember that in the beloved community, there's always a place for you to be seen, known, loved, and encouraged to live into your purpose. That you still matter and have a place in this world, and you bring something that's unique and that nobody else can replicate. I hope you don't let this condition stop you from living, and I hope that knowing more about it helps you to live better and more fully. Definitely like this video and comment below, and I'll see you guys next time. Deuce.